This drill here, because a lot of people ask us, what about this hand? Because where you're standing, you can't land this. Okay? I was asked, since they were taught to paw the jab with their right hand, do we still do that? And I'm like, you don't have to, because the target that they're looking for isn't there. So it's easy to hold it back here, since they can't reach it anyway. You don't have to paw it. But you're actually, by holding this stance, taking your right hand out of the fight. You, in essence, take your right hand, clear it out of the fight at this point. The reason why the stance that is open is so common is because they want to throw with both hands. Okay? But they actually have to give up such a big target to do that. All right? So now, this is the only time that I'm really going to say you're going to intentionally step out of the stance. Okay? And I'll explain to you why. What we do traditionally on our 1-2 is we'll throw 1-2 from right there. Go. 1-2. 1-2. Stop. Look where his rear foot is. And look at the distance between him and me. In order to reach that, you have to lean off balance. Okay? Then again, we go into the concept of make them miss, make them pay. That's the reason that works. We can sit right in here when they throw that right hand and lean and catch him before he ever gets his balance back. Okay? So now, we throw this right hand across our body, right here. That's why you'll hear it called the right cross. Because you have to cross your body to throw that shot. Now, if you stand in this stance right here, and you take your right hand and punch straight out, right here, from your hip, turn your hip, right there. It's more power and speed on that shot than it is when you come across the body here. Okay? But from this stance, you shoot it there with the effective power and speed, there's no way you're gonna hit your opponent. All right? So, what we're going to do, and this is going to be a bit of a stretch simply because we're not comfortable moving from our hip shaft. But I want to lay this down for you so that you can practice it and get it. What you're going to do is when you shoot your jab, the best way to set up the right hand, if I shoot my jab, and every time I shoot my jab, my opponent doesn't move his feet. He just kind of pauses, but his feet stay in the same position. So now, because I'm moving from my hips, what I'm going to do is on the jab, I'm going to push off of my rear foot. Okay? I'm not going to step with my front foot because we all do that Frankenstein Igor thing and drag it. Okay? So the minute we let our lead foot go first, we will drag our rear foot. Okay? When we push off of our rear foot, it'll come home. Okay? So you want to initiate the movement from the rear foot and push over. Now, in this case, we're holding the stance here. But we're going to come out of the stance and we're going to slide laterally here and plant this foot because the way they're used to seeing a 1-2, the way they initiate their defense on the 1-2 is they're used to the jab coming from here and the right hand coming from here. It's coming from a quadrant like this. So they just cloud the quadrant like that and cover that entire quadrant. So the minute you initiate a 1-2, that's what you get. The defense on the 1-2 is always right here because they're used to that right hand coming from a quadrant here. All right, so now my right hand's on this side. I'm shooting the jab. He's not moving his feet. I push off from here. The right hand comes from here. He can cover it if he wants to. All right? And it's a quirk. Mentally, it's a quirk in our minds. When we come forward, we initiate our defense. The minute we come toward him, his defense comes up. But when we do this, it doesn't. When you slide laterally, he'll watch you. It's a quirk. Our brains work that way. So when I'm firing the jab here, his defense will come in from here. The minute I slide over, he'll take that shot and I'm gone. And he'll stand, he will not even move. For the most part, they won't even realize it's coming. But it comes from here and planting the foot right here. It's not a big step. Because all I had to do is get this hand on this side of his hand. So the step is only this big. It's right here, and I'm back out into my stance. Okay? It's a simple move. You're gonna see as you're doing this, everybody's gonna overdo it. Everybody's going to overdo it. You're going to see that it's easier if you just relax and make that step a lot smoother. You don't have to force it. It's just a simple slide over. Come right there. Come right back into your stance. Okay? And all you're doing is placing this right hand where it needs to be so that he can't hide it and block it in that quadrant. You're going to move it out of that quadrant from here. From right there. Keep it straight. Now, you want to throw this from the hip. Do not allow yourself to do this. It's going to be so much harder to come out of there and get back into your true boxer stance. The minute you fall in on that right hand, it's going to be hard to pull that back out and get into your stance. You're going to stumble. Okay? So you still have to make the conscious effort to move this from here. Okay? And what you're doing is you're just, even without the punches, you're just stepping here and coming right back into your stance. Locking this right back on your opponent. Now, if I go here and he rides with me, go. Then my stance is here. The reason why I say that is because you're going to naturally see, because our brains and our bodies like to move in a circular motion, you're going to see this a lot when you're doing this. And rolling out this way. Because you start this position, because you start to go in that direction, you will keep rolling all the way out. It's a natural concept until we override that. Okay? So what you want to do is off every punch, even though I'm sliding over here, no matter where my opponent goes, I put the stance right back on where he is. The objective is to lock it in on him. Okay? And that's the thing that you're going to go over with your jabs, with your combinations, with everything. If I fire a jab here and this guy takes off running, moving, I need to be back here on the next jab. I can't just run downhill on that jab. Like most people will just let them come in, they'll just throw that jab. He's going all over here and they're still punching here until they find you. Off of every step, you want to have the control in your body so that if I fire this jab here and he slips it in any direction, I should be on him on the next punch. I should have the control to line him up on every punch. Okay? And that's coming from the waist down. All right? Thank you. So now let's practice the 1-2. I want you guys to go back and forth. One of you run it maybe twice, the other run it twice, and keep going. And I'll come around.